Welcome to the Trump Attorney Tracker, back again on day 170 of the Trump administration. Unbelievable that we're here, Olga. 170 days. We've made it this far. I guess that's a good thing. But there's still so much more to go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Emma, Margie, Jeff, Hillary, CJ, Ali. Look at all these people piling in. How great is it? I can't even read all these names. There's so many of them. Olga, how are you doing today on day 170? Are you feeling good?
I have again a bad headache, and it's exhausting keeping up with everything. But we chug on. That's all we could
There's
do.
a
How are
there,
you?
Oh, I'm a little tired. I must say, I'm a little tired. But as you point out, we chug on, and that's the thing to do. There is a lot in the tyranny tracker today, so let's get right into it. The Supreme Court has lifted a lower court freeze on Trump's mass federal purges. He's clearing the way, or they're clearing the way, for hundreds of thousands of job cuts across key agencies. This decision directly supports Trump's executive order to reduce the federal workforce, a cornerstone of his Project 2025 plan to overhaul government operations and consolidate executive power. The ruling removes the last judicial barrier preventing what could be the largest federal workforce reduction in modern American history. Is this as severe as some people are making it out to be? Some people are saying it's not so serious.
It absolutely is very serious because if you have been paying attention, over the past few months, the new people they're hiring, they actually are doing like a loyalty exam. And you have to basically agree with all of Trump's extremist agenda, whether it's for the Parks Department or whether it's, for the Department of Justice. And the fact that here this gives him the ability to clean out all the agencies and purge them of career officials who actually follow the law, who took an oath to the Constitution, and who will refuse to carry out illegal orders and replace them now, with these subservience that Trump is bringing in, who, will do whatever he says. This is extremely dangerous because this is, on a mass scale, replacing normal career servants, experts with subservience who will be obedient and do whatever Trump says.
So the big thing here is really about the purge and the loyalty pledge that new employees would have to give if they're purging hundreds of thousands from this public service and replacing them with just loyalists. That creates a huge challenge, obviously, going forward. This is very typical of authoritarian governments, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is every single uh, dictator who comes in, whether the system is an authoritarian system or it's not, anyone who new who comes in, they always want to fill the workforce with their people. And this is where it becomes dangerous because then their people, like I said, will carry out orders that are illegal, that could be unconstitutional, whereas civil servants will, they understand what their job is. They understand the legalities of, what is being asked of them. And if they feel something is illegal, they will seek whistleblower protection and then try to either, get a lawyer or get this to Congress.
On to our second story then. The FBI has opened criminal investigations into former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey. These probes reportedly focus on their roles in the 2016 investigation into Russia's attack on the US election. Both Brennan and Comey have been longtime targets of Trump and his allies, and this represents the administration's most direct use of federal law enforcement agents or enforcement agencies against former intelligence officials who investigated Trump's Russia connections. I can't believe they're still litigating this, but to litigate against the CIA director and the former FBI director, that's a whole new level.
Yeah, and this is what Trump tried to do the first term around, but the first term, again, you had people who actually were career officials who would not break the law and who would not open, these sham investigations. And now you have a bunch of yes men, and, as a distraction, they decided, and plus because, Trump is insane. I mean, he wants to go after and get retribution against everything from the 2016 election to, January 6th insurrection he caused. And anyone who was involved, he wants to get a retribution against them. And here we have Russia did attack U.S. elections. You have the CIA now being weaponized to release, selective intelligence to try to make it look like there was some kind of a conspiracy when the only conspiracy was Trump and his campaign conspiring with Russia in order to get into power in 2016.
Yeah. That is unbelievable. I mean, can you imagine? Actually, I often think about this. What it must be like to be like a Brennan in charge of the CIA as Russia is assaulting your country. That's your watch, with this intense attack that they did in 2016 to elect their own candidate. That's must be an incredibly difficult position to be in as a CIA director. Probably the most difficult you can imagine, because this is, after all, an intelligence attack, and then to have to answer to that attack as being your responsibility 8 years later is so it's just so dark, and it's so dystopian, and it's so Trump, and it's so Putin, really.
And the bigger picture, though, is the lack of accountability, because you know what? This falls on all American, civil servants and agencies, because America does have this, exceptionalism, and they did not want to deal with Russia's attack on the U.S. and the role that Trump and his campaign members, played with Russia in order to get him into power. And there were so many operations during the 2016 election, and the fact that over the past 4 years, no one has wanted to deal with this. I mean, Manafort literally is an agent of Russia. And
Yeah.
what did he get charged with? Tax evasion? Like, this is something you need to deal with. In Ukraine, it's not perfect by any means, but at least when Yanukovych, was conspiring with Russia to basically move Ukraine towards Russia's sphere. I mean, he fled, but he was prosecuted absentia, found
Mm,
guilty of treason.
mm.
This is how you deal with this. Not that, you avoid it, sweep it under the rug, and hope it never happens again. And
Well,
now,
America
because of
does not have the laws. It does not have the espionage laws, really, to target people
it
who are.
does, though. It does, though. There are laws that are on the
Uh,
books. It's
that's
just, I mean,
interesting.
we see people who are, Manafort transferred voter data to the Kremlin. We see people who are transferring information, in the military, and they get charged.
Yeah, in the
I mean, there
military.
are. But it's military or
Mm.
intelligence agency, Snowden. I mean, there are plenty of laws on the books. It's just that when it came to Trump and his circle, people felt like we don't want to, go this way and actually do a proper investigation and hold everyone accountable.
I should get your take on what happened yesterday during that cabinet meeting. I know it's not on the tracker today, but the sort of I wouldn't call it harsh, but the somewhat critical statement that Trump gave about Putin and his BS. Is there anything real underneath this, or is this just another skirmish amongst two loyal partners?
I think that there is something, because it's interesting the timing of these statements are when Netanyahu is here. And the
Mm,
Israelis, I mean, for their part, Netanyahu was close with Putin. He even used him as a campaign prop for his 2019 election. But after October 7th, I mean, there was no denying Russia's role for Hamas. They support them with weapons, they support them logistically. The money that was used, for the October 7th operation went through Garantex, which is a Russian sanctioned, crypto platform. So, I mean, the Israelis know very well what Russia has been doing with Hamas, what they have been doing with Hezbollah, the fact that they are supplying Iran with nuclear materials, and that they have been assisting them, not just for the civil nuclear plants, but for the, to move it into a real nuclear program where they can use it. So, I mean, Israel knows this. I'll never forget the a few days after October 7th, Likud, who's, been close to Russia, the Israeli party, how one of their members went on to RT, and he was screaming like a lunatic that after they're done with Hamas, that Russia will pay no matter how long. And he was screaming, Russia will pay. We know what you did. We know your role in October
Mhm.
7th. And once we're done here, we will never forget, however long it takes. And now you see Trump kind of stuck between two intelligence agencies and two countries when it came to Iran, where Russia's trying to pull him to their sphere, and Israel pulling him back to their sphere.
Although,
And
Bibi
as a
and
result,
Putin have been very
hmm?
close over the years. Bibi and Putin have been very close.
Yeah, that changed quite
October
a few
7th.
years
Oh,
ago.
I thought they
That
were still having
changed.
quite good relations. But it's
No, no,
interesting.
no,
Well,
no.
yeah.
Are you
Okay.
kidding? After October 7th, it wasn't even 72 hours that Russia invited the Hamas leaders
Yes.
responsible for October 7th. And if you saw the reaction in Israel, I mean, they were absolutely outraged because Russia was flaunting their hand not only in October 7th, because I can tell you honestly, I mean, I never fully looked into it, but the Hamas, terrorists, they didn't learn to paraglide in Gaza. We
Mm.
would have seen if they were taking paragliding lessons
Yeah,
in
of course.
Gaza to breach borders. This was learned offshore, and I guarantee you, Russia somewhere along the line had help in providing the logistical help and the training because Russia is the only one. Iran doesn't know how to breach borders.
Mm.
Russia is the one who has breached several borders in the past few decades. And then when they invited Hamas leaders responsible for October 7th, as I mean, within 72 hours, and made a big splash of it on Russian state media,
Mm.
the Israeli officials got a very clear point, and I don't think Bibi can ever be seen with Putin again after this, because I mean, then that means he supports, what happened on
Yeah.
October 7th, and the hostage is still held.
And the Russian hostages were first released amongst all the hostages, probably because of that relationship between the two deals,
Of
between the
course.
two countries. Let's move into number 3 on our Trump tourney tracker today. This involves Democratic Senators Alex Padilla and Cory Booker introducing the Visible Act. We've been talking a lot about this to ban ICE and DHS agents from wearing masks or concealing badge numbers during immigration enforcement. This legislation responds to reports of masked officers in unmarked vehicles detaining people without warrants, tactics that many are comparing to kidnappings because they look a lot like them. The bill aims to ensure accountability and identification during what appears to be an increasingly aggressive immigration operation. This is a no-brainer, but it's interesting to see it will go through.
I'm not so sure it will go through, but everybody on this, and I'm going to be championing for this bill. Everyone needs to support this bill and call their Congress people to say that having mass thugs running around the streets, disappearing people, kidnapping people with no identification is unacceptable because we already went through this. I mean, literally, I went on online and Googled federal police, what is it called? Badge available. On sale 50% off for as a movie prop. So you can buy these badges, you can buy, patches. So not only is it undemocratic to have masked federal officials run around and do this, you also have criminals now who are impersonating ICE agents to break into people's houses, to kidnap people. And there has been a case of sexual assault. So, I mean, we just cannot have masked people running around and disappearing, people not presenting their identification. And I've said it over and over, even the FBI, they are plainclothes. Before they say one word to you, they walk up to you and they take out their badge, present their badge, and then they'll
Mm.
start
Yeah.
speaking with you. So this is like a very common procedure, even with plainclothes officers. They must identify who they are. If you look at their badge and say, you know what, I want to call the office and make sure this is the correct,
Mm.
not a fake, they will give you the opportunity to pick up the phone call,
Of course, and they
and
should
make
do that.
sure. So this is how a democracy works, not what we're seeing of people getting literally kidnapped, you know, across America, disappeared. No one knows how to find them,
Yeah.
where they're being taken
And we need
by
to know the
who knows
officers are
what.
because they're the people who are taking these people away. Like we need to be able to identify who they are because how else are you going to find out what happened to these people? There's like sort of a what do you call it? A chain of I can't think of what it is, the actual term is, but if they're handling the prisoners, then we need to know who they are because they're handling the prisoners. They're
100%.
carrying imported cargo with them. They can't just be unidentified anonymous people that are coming off the streets and just lifting people off the streets and who knows what happens. That's ridiculous.
Absolutely, and like I said, criminals are impersonating these ICE agents and federal
Chain
agents.
of custody.
What
Thank you.
happened? Chain of what happens if they go and grab kids off now out of
Yeah.
playgrounds and start kidnapping kids? I mean, this can lead. First of all, like I said, on the policy side, this is undemocratic. This is not what happens. This is what happens in Syria, Russia, other countries where you have thugs running around like this. But at the same time, you have criminals who are taking advantage of this, and I mean, that can lead to mass kidnapping. And we see a spike. It's not imaginary. It's not, a hypothesis. We are seeing a spike correlating with this where criminals are
Crimes.
doing the same thing.
And if this force is now expanding to 17,000 people, that's a lot of people that could be running around with unidentified. We really need to know who they are. This next story is fascinating to me because it just shows you the incredible chaos the United States government is causing with its foreign relations. So it's a little confusing. There's a prisoner swap that was negotiated between the United States and I guess El Salvador for 11 Americans and dozens of Venezuelan political detainees, and that fell apart. So Marco Rubio negotiated a plan and then was undercut by the Trump envoy, Richard Grenell, who pursued a separate deal involving Chevron oil concessions. The confusion over who actually represented Trump is what caused the Venezuelan side to walk away, leaving American prisoners in detention. So you have to explain this to me slowly, like I'm a 5-year-old. I'm not sure I understand whose side, what happened here.
So we have Americans held hostage in Venezuela. At the same time, we've been disappearing Venezuelans from here to El
El Salvador.
Salvador.
Okay, got it.
So Rubio, the state, I don't even know under what role, I guess State Department, because he
National
wears so many.
Security Advisor, whatever it is today.
He
It's
wears
a
so many hats
15-year-old.
these days. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So he approached the Venezuelans and was negotiating to take the he approached the Venezuelan government and was negotiating to trade the 11 Americans held hostage in Venezuela for the 250 that Venezuelans sitting in El Salvador. The deal was coming close. At the same time, you had Richard Grenell, who's a idiot, and just frankly, I remember, his fuck ups the first time around, and
Yeah.
here we are again. Um, he was pursuing with the Venezuelan.
Excuse me.
Bless
Sorry.
you. Bless you,
Sorry.
bless you. He was pursuing with the same Venezuelan people a deal
Mm,
with different terms. And as a result, because we have an incompetent State Department, incompetent Trump regime, incompetent everything, the deal fell through because the Venezuelan government didn't understand who exactly is representing the Trump regime. Do they have to deal with Rubio?
mm,
Do they have to deal with Grenell? So as a result, we have 11 hostages still sitting in Venezuela, something that was close to
mm.
them coming home. And it fell through because of this, I don't even know, two path of negotiations.
It's
Just
amazing that the
shows you the
Venezuelan,
incompetence.
yeah, it's amazing the Venezuelan government has it together more than the American government. They're actually able to negotiate the release, but we can't. This is ridiculous. Grinnell's an idiot, as you point out. Everyone knows that. He's sort of, I can't believe he got another appointment, and what a mess! What a mess! This we can't even get a deal done with Venezuela for where they get more prisoners than we get, and we still can't negotiate with them. That's ridiculous, and they're supposedly close to Trump.
And the interesting thing is, I don't believe this story on the surface, that Hegseth is the one who stopped the weapons to Ukraine. But I do believe that, Hegseth would not take that decision upon himself without getting a green light from Trump. And that, like
Yeah,
in Russia, they always have a fall person with unpopular policies that they're trying to implement. But if you take the story that is out, this is two foreign policy screw ups, this week, because at the same time, you have a rogue Pentagon, the defense secretary with that, whatever, Colby, whatever his position is,
yeah,
running around and making, critical decisions if you would take the story at face value,
yeah.
without even looping in the State Department, the White House, or
If it's
Congress.
true at face value, he should be fired. If it's not true at face value, he should still be fired because both of them, they're just terrible. He's a terrible defense secretary. But this is really unbelievable if it's true. I mean, the fact that he would go to make an important decision like this without there being clear directive from the White House, without there being, this is a significant decision to stop arming Ukrainians with defensive weapons. It's not something you do. But
Yeah.
there is talk about if this anger or so-called it's called a feud between Putin and Trump is turning out to be real. There is talk about that very popular sanctions bill that's inside the Senate right now. Even Senator Graham is suggesting that could get passage now. I don't have any optimism around that, but if they're talking about it, that's a big deal.
Well, I can tell you at least, I mean, the final thing lays with Trump. But on the Senate side, I mean, there are 100 senators and 85 have
Yeah,
co-signed this. So you have huge bipartisan support on the Senate side, and they have a bill on the House side mirroring this bill. And there's huge support to
yeah,
pass it in the House. So it'll pass both chambers, and then it's ultimately up to Trump. Graham has been close to Trump. I mean, he's the one who's like been his sidekick advising him on bombing Iran, and he's had his ear. So maybe if this feud continues, because
mhm,
Russia's not stopping. I mean, regardless what it is, Russia's not stopping. They reiterated again, Putin did himself, that Ukrainians aren't people the other day, and again, the same spiel that they use for justification for their genocide and say that they need to cleanse Ukraine of Ukrainians because these aren't real people. So Putin is not going to stop regardless of what happens. And Trump either is going to continue stringing it along for 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks, or end up doing something. We have to see. I mean, we'll see where this goes. Apparently, the shipments of Patriots are already on the way, at least from people in Ukraine that I've talked to. I told them, like, I'm very curious to see, they'll let me know, like, when they do get there. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I mean, but either
yeah, yeah.
Trump continues providing cover for Russia for, uh, going forward, because Russia's not changing their
No,
policy.
they're
They
not.
can't.
The final story today is all about Trump attending the World Cup final, and also FIFA opening up offices in Trump Tower. It's an unusual story. I hadn't seen it before. Trump will attend Sunday's Club World Cup final in New Jersey as FIFA opens a new office in New York's Trump Tower, where the trophy is now displayed. FIFA's president praised Trump's support ahead of the 2026 World Cup. This sounds like just another straight corruption thing where it's just like, thank you. Yeah, we'll take your offices in the Trump Tower. No problem for, help and support during this next World Cup.
I mean, I included this just to show the corruption angle. I
Mm,
don't even have analysis, except this is exactly how it works in Russia. You
yeah.
have the state intertwined with all the, sports organizations. Everything is intertwined. They're under the control of the Kremlin. Frankly, many of the hockey associations, judo associations are sprinkled with Russian, intelligence agents, trained ones, not assets, actual like SVR or FSB agents under the cover, being playing hockey or whatever it is, to send them overseas to carry out whatever operations, espionage, collecting intelligence, whatever it is. Um, so I mean, to me, it's just reminded me of Russia. That's my analysis,
Well,
but
it
it's
just
insane.
is. It's
Trump
so
Tower,
typical. Every time there's an opportunity to make a buck for himself, he does. I mean, there's never a minute. In fact, all his policy decisions seem to be based on whether he's making money off it. And we reported the other day about this new Trump Tower now in Israel, in a bombed out area. You got all these. These are. It all looks so ridiculous. It's almost unbelievable that it's so blatant and obvious that this is what's going on. But it is, as you point out, exactly like Russia.
yeah, you should just put a desk on the White House lawn for every dignitary visiting. Hi, what are you going to pay me and how
Yeah.
much? And what
Where's
would you like in return?
where's
I,
my
I,
tribute?
I remember talking to someone in Ukraine, in February, and they were asking where this is going. I said, honestly, Trump is on Russia's side, and you could basically kiss U.S. support goodbye. But I was like, unless you could figure out a way to buy him and pay more for
Yeah.
them than Russia pays, because I mean, he is buyable. You could just buy him, and
Yeah.
everyone knows from domestically, from corporations, from, countries around the globe that you can buy this person. And this is not how America is supposed to be run or
Mhm.
viewed.
And of course, the Trump Tower has no or very few residents left, not residents, office renters left there. There are a lot of people have left because of well, they don't be associated with the brand. So FIFA's a welcome addition to their building there, I'm sure. But it's still remarkable that they're misusing government power for this. That is the Trump tyranny tracker for today, day 170 of the Trump administration. We are 10 days away from 180. That's going to be the 6 month mark, everybody. We're almost there. Brace yourself, but also have a
Look,
great
like,
day.
what is it, 1,500, 1,400
Yeah,
days
no,
away?
there's a lot left. It's going to get very. We're still here in how many 1,700 days from now, 1,500 days from now. All
I
right.
might be reporting from a gulag somewhere
Yeah.
in some.
Hey, as long as they give us our phones, we're okay. We'll keep doing this. Um, so that's the show for today. We'll be back. I'll be back in 30 minutes or so with Dean Blundell for the 5 Stack, and we'll be back again for the Trump Tyranny Tracker tomorrow at 2 p.m. Don't forget to subscribe to the Trump Tyranny Tracker and Unmasking Russia and support Olga's work. And
I just want to add one thing.
yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
to everyone who joined us last night for our Google Meet. I put out the new link for next week today. So
Okay, I'm going to restack that as well. It was such a good meeting, and thanks to everyone who showed up. It was really terrific. And if you haven't signed up yet, there's lots of opportunity to join. And it doesn't matter if you missed the first 6. We're every episode, every session is self-contained. So you're welcome to come and join us at for each one. And it's really good. I think everyone enjoys being there, and there's great communication between everyone. All right, so we'll see you tomorrow, Olga. Have a great day.
bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.